Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Wow. Was not expecting this one to pop up today. Joe Flacco just got traded, y'all. Again, man, the Browns started the season with 4 quarterbacks. We are down to just the rookies. It's fascinating how this year has gone. We have traded Kenny Pickett for a 6th-round pick, and now we have sent a 6th-round pick. I probably think the Kenny Pickett 6th-round pick and Joe Flacco for a 5th-round pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. So we're sending Joe Flacco to Cincinnati. And that means 2 things. One, the Browns are all in on the rookies, right? They're all in on the rookies. They're all in on Dylan Gabriel, and they're all in on Shedeur Sanders because they're going to absolutely play now. Now Shedeur has to, be ready to play. He's going to be the backup, or maybe it's going to be Bailey Zapp. This would be a big week to figure that out because I don't know if it's guaranteed that they make Shedeur the backup, but they've made him the emergency quarterback all year. I wonder if that sticks even without Joe Flacco on the roster. And boy, the reactions are going to be something if he is still the emergency quarterback. But yes, the Browns are trading Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals for a 5th-round pick. They're trading Joe Flacco and a 6th-round pick to get a 5th-round pick. Adam Schefter clarifying here, the 6th-round pick going to the Bengals is Detroit's original pick. So this is Detroit's 6th-round pick. So a late 6th-round pick going for Cincinnati's 5th-round pick, which could be an early 5th-round pick for Joe Flacco. Wow. There is a lot to talk about, and I'm going to get into that. But before that, I got to pay some bills here. Y'all, shout out to the sponsor, Sleeper. Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required. And also, if you're a first-time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code WORSTTAKE. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper. All right. So again, Joe Flacco traded to Cincinnati. I wonder if there aren't going to be more moves after this because it does put the Browns in a pretty peculiar spot. Because you are now potentially one play away from playing Shedeur. Right now, I don't know internally how they feel about it. The last I've heard, it hasn't been the greatest stuff in the world, but maybe that's a smokescreen, right? They make this trade, they get rid of Joe Flacco, and honestly, I'm trying to gather my thoughts right now because it's just broke as I'm recording this video. So I'm a little thrown off, right? Like I'm a little shocked that this happened, but they trade Joe Flacco, and I don't really know how I feel about it yet. On one hand, I can see the positive argument for this being very obvious. And the positive argument for this that is very obvious is simple. Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett have netted you 2 draft picks when you could argue at the time of trading Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, it was very, very, very difficult to see how people were going to derive value from that as a situation, right? Kenny Pickett was at an all-time low in trade value. Kenny Pickett had not beaten out anybody in camp. Kenny Pickett had gotten injured. So you could reasonably think to yourself, there's no way anybody's going to trade anything for Kenny Pickett. We find a trade for Kenny Pickett. Then Joe Flacco comes up, plays bad in the first 4 weeks of the season. Now, to be fair to Joe Flacco, I think the Browns' offensive line being as bad as it was to begin this year and as injured as it was to begin this year, specifically Cornelius Luke has given up, 28 pressures in 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks of football, contributed to him having a pretty significant decline. And I think a change of scenery is going to be good for Joe Flacco, right? I think a change of scenery might be a positive thing for Joe here at this point. But it puts you in a spot to where both these veterans, if I would have told you at the beginning of the year when they signed and traded for Kenny Pickett, and they signed Joe Flacco, that the Browns would get 2 day 3 picks from both of those guys, from trading both of those guys, I'm pretty sure some people would have said, hell yeah, sign me up. My hesitation to be excited about this and run around and, do all the Andrew Berry, laser beam emoji stuff, and he's cooking all the, Andrew Berry doing it. Yeah, the reason I'm a little hesitant is I don't love that this quarterback room is now veteranless. This very young quarterback room, the vet in the room is Bailey Zapp. Now, to be fair, they do have a quarterback coach, which they haven't always had. And Bill Musgrave is a great quarterbacks coach. But I think there is a difference between having a coach in the room and having a veteran in the room, right? A coach is not going to be able to relate to having to prepare to what it's like to play a game in 2025. Joe Flacco was. I'm a little uneasy about that. I'm a little uneasy about going from rookie to rookie if there's an injury to Dillon Gabriel against Pittsburgh. Hopefully what this means is that this is a positive sign for Shedeur Sanders, and that they made this trade not just because of the trade value, but they thought to themselves, hey, we think Shedeur's ready to be the backup. That's what I'm hoping. My fear is that this was a trade made to speed up the timeline because people behind the scenes were getting a little impatient with how long it was going to look to take for Shedeur to seemingly get on the field, right? I don't want this to be a case where Jimmy Haslam, and look, I don't know what Jimmy Haslam's intention is here. It might be that Jimmy Haslam ain't even a part of this whole thing. And that's very likely, to be honest with you. But, what I don't want this is to be the case of Jimmy Haslam saying to himself, well, I want to see the rookies. Let's get rid of the veterans. Let's just see what happens here, right? Because I think you can put the team in a bit of a high and dry situation there. But still, very interesting to me that the Browns were able to get a draft pick, a 5th-round draft pick for Joe Flacco after how he looked. And then there's also the risk of, hey, you're trading him in division. You still have to play the Cincinnati Bengals. Is it possible that the Bengals improve because you traded him Joe Flacco? And is that something that bothers you? You have to ask, what does this trade mean about how you view the rest of the year? Do you think that these games are winnable? Do you think that you can turn it around, turn the corner here? Because trading your veteran backup, I don't know if that screams that they feel like they can turn the corner. I hope they're doing this because they're just so excited about what this rookie class has provided. And they're so excited about both of these rookie quarterbacks. We'll get to hear them talk about this trade sooner than later. But we still have to figure out what truly motivated this trade. Was the 5th-round pick too much to look away from? Was the trade up from the 6th to the 5th, including Joe Flacco? Was that just too much to look away from? I find that hard to believe. So that makes me more inclined to think that this is more about how they feel about the other quarterbacks in the room being able to provide, the backup function. Another question is going to be, who's going to be the backup now, right? Is Shedeur going to be the backup? Is that going to be negative for Dillon Gabriel? Is Dillon Gabriel going to be able to handle that You know, he should. He's got to. He's a veteran. He's dealt with this before. He's been in quarterback competitions before. So I don't expect this to be a problem for him. But, you know, all of these questions have to be considered before making this move. And it's a pretty significant move here to get off of Joe Flacco and trade him to a division rival. I don't know. I have not really, again, I just found out about this literally 10 minutes before I hit record here. So you're getting my true immediate reactions. And I'm going to reserve my right to change my opinion on this the more I think about it, because this is just my first reaction to it. But I'm surprised that they made this move. I don't really have an inkling whether this is going to be a good or bad move for the Browns. You know, Cincinnati has been pretty terrible, and it is something to say that Cincinnati has turned the ball over so much in the last 5 weeks that they've turned to Joe Flacco to cut the faucet off. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe Flacco, number 2 on interceptions. Number 1 is Jake Browning. I think number 2 is Joe Flacco on interceptions. That's the guy they're trading for to turn the faucet off on the turnovers. Like, they're truly desperate right now. And maybe this is the Browns seeing that desperation and deciding to take advantage because, hey, they're going to offer you a veteran quarterback. They're going to say internally, the offensive line just kind of tripped him up. He just needs a fresh start. You give him Jamar Chase. You saw what he did in 2023. Maybe that happens for you, and you get a 5th-round pick in return for it. And I hope that they're right on that calculus. But, man, it's a ballsy move. It's a ballsy move for sure. If they're right on this, then they look like geniuses for being able to get, 2 draft picks out of 2 players that we thought you were going to have to cut. If they're wrong on this, then it's going to be another quarterback decision that they're going to be endlessly criticized for, at least for a part of the season. Like if Joe Flacco ends up being the catalyst for a turnaround, that's going to be more egg on your face at the quarterback position for a franchise that, quite frankly, has been dealing with too much egg on their face at the quarterback position. And a fan base that's been dealing with too much egg on their face at the quarterback position. At this point, we recoil at the thought of trading any quarterback because, what's happening with Baker Mayfield right now just has left such a scar for so many people. So maybe that's why I'm a bit hesitant to be like, oh, man, great trade. But still, gotta say, I'm shocked he was able to pull it off. People were asking me in the Q&A, do I think the Browns are going to trade Joe Flacco? And I thought that those questions were ridiculous, not because the idea of trading Joe Flacco is ridiculous, but because the ideal of somebody wanting to trade for Joe Flacco was ridiculous to me. I don't know how anybody watched these games in the first 4 weeks and said to themselves, that's who I want on the roster, especially the team that has turned the ball over a ton. I thought they trade for Kenny Pickett before they trade for Joe Flacco. They want Joe Flacco. Okay. That's interesting. That's certainly interesting to me. There's a lot you can infer about this. I'm really just at the point where I want to take people's input, right? I want to know what people think about this. I want to know what you think about this down in the comment section below. So let me know your thoughts about the Joe Flacco trade. I don't know where I sit yet with this, if I'm being perfectly honest, but let me know where you sit at with this. We could talk about it as the week goes on, but I just had somebody point out a disturbing realization about all of this that made me even more uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I'm editing this video as I'm going. So if this is a bit, if this is a bit of a transition, I apologize. But somebody just made the point to me that I cannot refute at this point. That maybe they're clearing way for Deshaun Watson to be on the active roster. It's about that time, right? Well, he injured himself again in January, right? So at the end of the season, I think January, February, he injured himself. So if you give an 8-month timeline, we about at 8 months. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about this. There's a lot of stuff flying here. Like on one hand, it could be, hey, they like Shador, they like what's going on here, but I just haven't been hearing a ton in that direction over the last few weeks. Like with Dylan before he played, you were hearing all kind of, oh, Dylan's looking great. We feel great about that. You haven't heard anything like that about Shador, so there's really no reason for me to believe that's that. But like it is about the time that Deshaun. Oh, are we gonna see the return of Deshaun Watson this year? I hope not. We'll see. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Ooh, don't know what to make of this. I do not know what to make of this, y'all. I don't know. Oh, don't know. Is it? Sorry, I'm back again. I just thought about it again. Oh my God, the veteran in the quarterback room is Deshaun Watson now. Nah, they ain't gonna do it, right? They ain't gonna go back to him as the starter anytime soon, right? I don't know. I don't know, man. Again, I don't know what to make of this, man. Y'all have a great